we're going to read Way Out West with a Baby. It's written and illustrated by Mike Brownlow. Way out west and way back then, when skies were fresh and clear, cowboys used to take their cows from there to over here. They drive those cows from sunup, over desert, over creek, and the roughest, toughest cowboys were Dan and Dom and Deke. Dan was young and springy and had long, unruly hair, while skinny Deke talked in a squeak, and Dom looked like a bear. They'd fight and cuss and scratch and spit. The worst of them was Dom. He didn't even send a card at Christmas to his mom. They'd herd those cows for miles all day, through blizzards, winds, and rains, and rarely see another soul, except passing wagon trains. But late at night at chow time, as they ate their meat and bread, a sound came from the desert, like a noise to wake the dead. "Is that a ghost?" asked Dan agog. The others answered, "Nah." The sound was more familiar. It grew louder. It went, "Whoa!" "It came from over there," said Deke. Said Dom, "Let's look around." The cowboys soon stood open mouthed, amazed at what they had found. For there atop some sagebrush, looking helpless, cold, and small, was a little crying baby swaddled tightly in a shawl. "A baby way out here?" said Dom. "Oh, tiny, mild, and meek. I guess we'd better pick her up. Aw, shucks, she sprung a leak. She's wetter than a flood in spring. And pooh! Will you just smell her?" And so we took off the diaper. "Hey guys, this girl's a fella. We gotta clean you up now, son." The baby gave a shiver. The cowboys thought, and then they dumped the infant in the river. They wrapped him in a neckerchief and warmed him in the shawl. But the baby kept on crying like a banshee in a squall. "Ah, gee," said Deke. "Ah, shucks," said Dom. "Don't cry now, little mite, 'cause Uncle Dan can do some tricks to make you feel all right." "Who, me?" said Dan. "Yeah, you," growled Dom. But Dan was out of practice. He tried to stand upon his hands and landed in a cactus. The baby started chuckling, though only for a while. So Deke tried pulling faces, but that didn't raise a smile. "Gee, this baby thing is tough," said Deke amid the din, "even though there's only 3 of us and only 1 of him." The cowboys tried to dance and jig, whilst going "coochie coo," but then the answer came to Dom. "I bet you guessed it too. This little guy's hungry. That's why he's acting mean," said Deke. "Do you think he'd like some steak, or maybe he'd like some beans?" "It's milk he wants, you fool," said Dom. "We want to get some now. Dan, pull out all those prickles and go off and milk a cow." So soon the night was quiet as the baby guzzled up and drank his fill and finished what was left inside the cup. The 4 sat round the campfire underneath the starry skies. The baby gave a little burp and rubbed his little eyes. And then he smiled a gummy smile and snuggled up to nap, and soon was dreaming peacefully on Dom's big manly lap. Dom scratched his hairy whiskers and came over kind of calm, and gazed in wonder at the child that nestled in his arm. He rocked the infant quietly, not knowing what to say, and something cold in Dom's old heart began to melt away. Then way off in the distance, they heard a rumbling sound. "Ah, shoot," said Deke, "that's thunder," and he sped onto the ground. The other two, they frowned and snapped. "Now just hang on a bit. We gotta raise the baby good, so Deke, don't cuss her spit." Then Dom said, "I've been thinking about this baby and the way we must have fallen from the wagon train we saw today. We gotta get him to his mom and get him to her quick, 'cause I've a kind of inkling that she might be worried sick. Now, cowboys know the lightning can spook the cattle funny and maybe start a stampede that will cost them lots of money. But guys, we gotta do the thing that's right and good," said Dom. "Let's leave the cows and saddle up. This baby needs his mom." So they rode into the night of inky blue, and odd to say, but half a dozen cattle followed too. Dan was riding on the left, and Deke was on the right, and in between them there was Dom, who held the baby tight. The thunder grew much louder, and it soon came on to rain, but still they rode determinedly toward the wagon train. Then crackle, zap, kaboom, crack! The storm was on them now. The sky lit up as lightning flashed and barbecued a cow. Flash floods, thunder, rain and hail. Their horses bucked and reared, but Dan and Dom and Deke rode on, though mightily afeared. They ducked and dodged the lightning bolts, yet baby didn't cry, until a glob of mud flew up and hit him in the eye. "Just hang on, little fella." Dom's voice was just a croak. He knew they had to run the storm. They had to go for broke. So they galloped fit to bursting till the storm had passed them by, and as the air began to still, some smoke rose in the sky. They rode atop a nearby hill and peered across the plain, and as the rays of dawn came up, they saw the wagon train. Dom wiped the mud from Junior's eyes, the baby on his knees. "Look, kid, I'll bet your mom's down there," and gave a tender squeeze. The baby seemed to smile at first, but quickly changed his mood, and promptly over Dom's best shirt, he sicked up all his food. "No matter, son, this thing will wash. It really ain't no bother. Although we thought, if not one end comes out of the other." They rode towards the wagon train, and who do you think they saw? A woman with her arms outstretched, the little baby's ma. She couldn't say a word for tears, as Babe returned to Mom. Said Deke, "He might be hungry, ma'am." "I know he is," said Dom. "Thank God he's safe," the mother sobbed, no longer in dismay. And Dom and Dan and Deke discreetly wiped a tear away. "We thought we lost him in the storm," the baby father said. "We searched all over through the night. We feared he might be dead." "Shucks, he was only fooling around," said Dom. "Just having fun. He thought, I'm big and tough. Let's see how herding cattle's done." The grateful pioneers then fed the cowhands with some grub, and after, Dom took off his shirt and gave the thing a scrub. But when they came to take their leave, with all their farewells made, the cowboys went to see the child, now sleeping in the shade. "Well, so long, kid, we gotta go. So you take care of you here, 'cause there won't always be 3 guardian cowboys standing near." And what became of the baby? He dreamt of riding on a horse and thunder on the plain and starry nights and campfires and cattle in the rain. And when he'd done with schooling and had grown into a man, he chose to be a cowboy, just like Dom and Deke and Dan. Now you take care of your babies, you hear? The end.